Me again, final one for the day. Coutts and Co., a branch of NatWest. They really screwed up this one, didn't they? First of all, they lied, and then they got exposed that they were lying publicly. So first of all, they said, we ditched Farage because he didn't have enough money. And then he got his hands on the documents, and it said, we ditched Farage because he wasn't liberal or left-wing enough. And then it found out that they've been leaking information left, right, and centre in clear breach of data protection regulations, relationship of trust, contractual obligations, you name it. So it's a public relations disaster for Coutts and NatWest. We've had 2 senior resignations so far. There's talk of some kind of internal inquiry, whitewashing. And Farage and Co., and he said this himself, it's not just him, and other people have warned about this, but him and friends are going to take up this issue of the debanking of innocent people for no other reason than suspicious activity, they regard as suspicious activity, being associated with people with a suspicious activity. I mean, my goodness. And this, and also the politically motivated debanking of prominent persons because they don't like what they say. Utterly wrong. They got no defense about this. And people on the left who actually have, moderate to normal IQs have realized that this is a problem because they could be next. If they're not liberal left-wing enough, they get the snip as well. And it's fascinating because this kind of outrage, it has been caused because it's attacking the foundation of our society, or any society, the ability to store and control your own wealth. It's even sub-political. It's foundation to political activity. There's a few idiots that, what was that, the Emily something or other? She's there's nothing sadder than a con man who hasn't worked out that she's the dumbest person in the room. She's trying all this smirk and smarv and but she's flogging a dead horse, and she's just regurgitating the lies that have been disproven. And the arrogance of these people to think that they can just, get up, get there on camera and grin and smirk and everyone's going to believe it. It is astounding. There's something very wrong with them. If they lack this level of self-awareness that they think that people are going to fall for that, it's disturbing. But these journalists, these left-wing journalists, are not normal people. Normal people do not do this. I've said that in other videos. So yeah, there's not much to add other than what people said, but there is one thing which I think is potentially bigger than debanking in this country. And that's the notion of bank favoritism towards the liberal woke industries. So they shut you down if they don't like your politics, but they would also, theoretically, give you undue help and assistance if they like your politics. So this is pure speculation, but I think it's reasonable with regards to the fact that the banks have now been exposed, that they are politicized and that they are active in enacting their political desires by using their services. Imagine you have a woke organization. It's not a very safe, sound investment with regards to normal banking practices, but because of its politics, the banks will give it a loan, even though it's a very high-risk investment. They will give it a very disproportionate loan with regards to the operations of that organization and the safety of that investment. So they'll give them a ton of money, almost certainly at very favorable interest rates to the client, so very low interest or no interest. And then the banks won't make any serious attempt to regain their lost income if the woke organization defaults or has problems. And there are other things too. I mean, the banks might give them essentially an unlimited overdraft. which don't chase that. Bank accounts discharge bankrupts, and financial services are in complete rejection of all of the checks they're supposed to do. So this woke organization comes up and says, I want a bank loan. So yeah, sure, how much do you want? 100 grand. Call it 200. Oh, it's 0.1% interest over 200 years. There we are. The woke organization goes belly up, and the bank says, well, we're not going to, we like you, so we're not going to chase up any money. Just write it off. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. The favoritism of the banks. That is much more sinister and a bigger story than debanking. If debanking on a scale of 1 to 10 is, in terms of risk to the banking industry, 2 or a 3. If the banks get exposed in terms of essentially giving very, very favorable finances to political organizations simply because they like their politics, that I think is probably about a 5 and a 6. That's a much more serious problem. Especially because the shareholders of the banks don't want their banks making crazy investments to very high risk organizations. So it's not just going to cause outrage. The people who actually own the bank, who have interest in the bank, are going to say, well, why are you giving gender reassignment, lesbian dance theory charities millions of pounds at zero interest when they're never going to be able to pay this back? The bank says, oh well, it's all part of our ethos and ethics. It's a crazy investment. You've just thrown away vast amounts of money. That's not, we can't survive unless we make good investments. Well, the bigger picture. Do you see what I mean? It's the shareholders bollocking the banks, not the people bollocking. That, I think, I'm quite confident that must be going on. If the banks are now politicized and playing favorites, it's almost certainly going on. If we know that they're cutting people loose because they don't like their politics. The other side of the spectrum is that they're giving undue favoritism in breach of normal banking practices and regulations to their political friends and fellow travellers. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing it to political parties and political pressure groups. That, I think, is a big scandal that might be exposed if it is even real. I hope it isn't real, but it probably is. So we'll keep an eye on it.